Greetings everyone. Before we delve into today's fascinating topic, remember to subscribe, like, and share this video to keep such informative content coming your way. Today, we're going to explore the teachings of Prophet Muhammad on warfare in Islam, a topic steeped in history, filled with wisdom, and imbued with profound lessons that continue to resonate today. We'll unravel the teachings and their significance, offering a deeper understanding of this vital aspect of Islamic teachings. Now, without further ado, let's journey back in time to understand these profound teachings. To comprehend the teachings of Prophet Muhammad on warfare, we must begin at the very start of his prophethood. When Muhammad received his first revelations in the early 7th century, he and his followers were living in Mecca, a city of significant religious and commercial importance in the Arabian Peninsula. In these early days, the Prophet's teachings were met with hostility and persecution from the Meccan elites, who felt threatened by the rise of a new monotheistic faith. Despite the hostility, Prophet Muhammad initially sought a peaceful resolution. He advocated patience and forbearance, urging his followers to remain steadfast in their faith and to avoid retaliation. This peaceful approach is reflected in the Quranic verses revealed during this time, which emphasize tolerance and the spiritual rewards of endurance. However, as the persecution intensified, a significant shift occurred in the Prophet's teachings. This change was marked by the first revelation about fighting found in Surah Al-Hajj 39. The verse states, "Permission to fight is given to those who are fought against because they have been wronged. Truly, Allah has the power to come to their support." This verse signified a pivotal moment in the Prophet's teachings. It recognized the right of the oppressed to defend themselves against their oppressors. It was not a call to violence, but a recognition of the necessity of self-defense in the face of extreme persecution. The Prophet emphasized that warfare was a last resort, only to be undertaken when all other avenues of peace had been exhausted. This shift in the Prophet's teachings was not an abandonment of his earlier message of peace and tolerance. Rather, it was a necessary response to the escalating violence and oppression faced by the early Muslim community. The Prophet's teachings on warfare were always guided by principles of justice, mercy, and the preservation of human dignity. Thus, the first lessons on warfare were born, rooted in defense and protection of the faith. As Islam grew, so did the nature of conflicts, leading to the formulation of more specific rules of engagement. The teachings of Prophet Muhammad, known as Hadith, began to address complexities of war beyond the simple act of self-defense. The Prophet's wisdom reflected a profound understanding of human nature and a remarkable anticipation of the rules of war that would be globally recognized centuries later. The Prophet Muhammad laid down clear guidelines regarding the treatment of non-combatants in a conflict. His teachings underscored the sanctity of human life and categorically forbade the killing of women, children, and the elderly. The Prophet reminded his followers that these individuals were not part of the fighting force and therefore should be left unharmed. This principle, which later found echoes in international humanitarian law, was revolutionary at a time when collateral damage was often seen as an inevitable part of warfare. Moving on, the Prophet also established an explicit prohibition against mutilation. During a time when mutilation was a common practice in warfare, this was a radical departure from the norms of the day. He reminded his followers that respect for the human body is a fundamental aspect of Islamic ethics, and this respect does not cease, even in death. Moreover, the Prophet's teachings also included directives for the preservation of infrastructure during warfare. He instructed his followers not to destroy trees, crops, or buildings. This demonstrated an early understanding of the concept of sustainable warfare, where the aim is to minimize the long-term effects of conflict on the society and the environment. These rules, revolutionary for their time, emphasized dignity, respect, and restraint, even during conflict, The Prophet Muhammad's teachings on warfare show a deep respect for human life and dignity, and a commitment to minimizing suffering, even in the midst of conflict. These principles continue to resonate today as we grapple with the realities of conflict in our own time. An important aspect of warfare in Islam is the concept of jihad, often misunderstood in contemporary discourse. To fully grasp its essence, we need to peel back the layers of misinterpretation and delve deeper into its true meaning. Jihad, an Arabic term, fundamentally signifies struggle or striving. It is a concept that encompasses much more than the commonly perceived notion of holy war. The teachings of Prophet Muhammad and the Quran elucidate various forms of jihad, each with its distinct significance. Firstly, there's the greater jihad, also known as jihad al-nafs. This form of jihad is an internal spiritual struggle within oneself against sin and moral corruption. It is about self-improvement, personal growth, and the pursuit of righteousness. Prophet Muhammad is reported to have said, "The best jihad is the one against one's own self." On the other hand, there's the lesser jihad, or jihad al-sayf. This refers to the physical struggle, which can include self-defense or fighting against oppression. It is important to note that even in this form, there are strict rules of engagement, such as not harming innocent civilians, women, children, or the environment, and it can only be declared under specific circumstances by a legitimate authority. In between these two extremes, there's jihad al-kalam, the struggle through writing and scholarly activity, and jihad al-lisan, the struggle through speech, both aimed at spreading the message of Islam and countering misinformation. So the concept of jihad is multifaceted and context-dependent. It's about personal development, standing up against injustice, and striving to promote truth and understanding. It's not exclusively about physical combat, as often misconstrued. Rather, it's about the constant struggle to uphold moral and ethical principles, both within oneself and in society. Jihad, thus, is not merely about physical warfare, but a broader struggle for righteousness and justice. The teachings of Prophet Muhammad on warfare continue to influence and guide Muslims worldwide. Even in the face of great adversity, these principles stand firm, echoing the wisdom of a time when justice, mercy, and peace were the guiding lights in the fog of conflict. In the modern era, these teachings have taken on new dimensions as they are interpreted and applied in diverse contexts. One of the most significant principles is the concept of a just war. This doctrine, deeply rooted in Islamic tradition, stipulates that war can only be justified under certain conditions. These include the defense of the faith, the protection of innocence, and the response to aggression, among others. In the 21st century, with its complex geopolitical landscape, these conditions are more relevant than ever. Many Muslim scholars and leaders turn to these principles when navigating the tumultuous waters of international relations and conflict resolution. They serve as a moral compass, pointing towards the path of justice and righteousness. Moreover, the Prophet's teachings on warfare have inspired countless acts of compassion and bravery. Take, for example, the story of Shahnawaz Shah Alam Sheikh, known as the Oxygen Man. Amid the devastating surge of COVID-19 in India, Sheikh, inspired by the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, sold his SUV to buy oxygen for the critically ill, demonstrating the profound impact of these teachings on individual lives. However, it's important to note that, like any religious teachings, interpretations can vary widely. Some groups may adopt extremist views, distorting the original teachings for their own purposes. It's crucial to remember that these outliers do not represent the majority, who strive to live by the Prophet's teachings of peace and justice. Overall, the legacy of Prophet Muhammad's teachings on warfare is vast and far-reaching. They provide a blueprint for ethical conduct in times of conflict, emphasizing the sanctity of life, the importance of justice, and the pursuit of peace. These teachings, while ancient, remain profoundly relevant in our modern world, guiding millions in their quest for a just and peaceful existence. Indeed, the Prophet's teachings provide a timeless framework for addressing conflict, emphasizing justice, mercy, and peace above all. As we conclude our journey, let's revisit the key points we've covered today. We've delved into the early teachings of the Prophet Muhammad on warfare, highlighting his emphasis on justice, mercy, and respect for human dignity. We've seen how these teachings evolved into a detailed set of rules of engagement, designed to limit the horrors of war and protect the innocent. We've also explored the concept of jihad, a complex and often misunderstood term, which in its essence refers to the struggle to maintain faith and righteousness. In the modern world, these teachings continue to hold relevance, guiding the actions and attitudes of millions of people. They serve as a reminder that in Islam, warfare is not a goal in itself, but a last resort, and even then, it must be conducted with humanity and restraint. This message, born over 1,000 years ago, continues to resonate in our contemporary world. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey. Remember to subscribe, like, and share, and stay tuned for more insightful content. Peace be upon you all.